This is 5 on 20 News with Joel Foster, and Frank's supposed to be here. I don't know exactly where he's. Huh? Oh, here he is.
5 on 20 News needs a theme song. Insert door sound effect here. Hey, buddy, how's it going? I was picking up our dry cleaning.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Look at this. You look very unprofessional. What are you doing? We're trying to put on a news show here. Jeez. Get things together. We don't want to look like idiots.
True.
Doing things on the local level. Channel 20 got to be looking good. You look good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Are you ready to do this? Because
Yes.
let me tell you, I'm hungover. So when do we want to get started? We getting started? When do we get started?
Well, you gotta say your name.
Oh, this is Frank Powers. We're down here coming to you live from our studio at Creative Tucson. It's Friday. Wait a minute. It's Casual Friday. Get these things off. We don't need any of this. We don't look like we're so over-professional. A bunch of sellouts, corporate slobs. Can't have that. Let's talk local headlines.
All right, a group of Tucsonans traveled to Washington, D.C. this week to protest the Republican health care bill. Protesters stood in the hallways of Congress and were hauled away by police as they chanted, "Kill the bill" and "Shame, shame, shame" at lawmakers. Tucson's Katya Karankevich said that protesters traveling to D.C. were able to successfully kill the Graham-Cassidy bill. This was last month, which would have repealed and replaced the Affordable Care Act. So she hopes that the action will help kill the tax reform bill this time around. But it looks like the bill is poised to pass, as Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced today that he has enough votes to approve the bill. And this is mainly due to Arizona Senators John McCain and Jeff Flake, who both said earlier today that they would support the bill. Flake said that he came on board because lawmakers agreed to work on a DACA resolution if he supported tax reform. And you know our lawmakers always keep their promises, especially to a lame duck like Flake. So get ready to be disappointed, Jeff. You just got baited and switched, and now you lost all that goodwill you earned by criticizing Trump. Oh well, shame indeed. Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes and plan to vote within the next few hours because they really, really want to ruin your Friday night.
TGIF, that's right. Looking good, too. So the lease for a coal-fired power plant on Navajo Nation land was approved to operate through 2019. The tribe and the plant's owners signed off on the agreement earlier this year, but it has still needed approval from the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation by today. The Salt River Project and other owners decided in February to shut down the plant in favor of power produced by natural gas, but will keep it running for another 2 years before the switch takes place. The plant was opposed by some Navajo groups, also called DINE, also the regional and national conservation groups. They filed a challenge to the extension of the plant with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals earlier this month. The case alleges that federal law disempowers tribal citizens and incentivizes the worst polluters to locate on tribal land. There's that sound effect I was looking for. It says that the Four Corners power plant has a long history of poisoning people and native fish with mercury, selenium, and other toxic pollution. Despite the opposition, a massive lobbying effort was undertaken by Peabody Energy, America's largest publicly traded coal company. The Sierra Club obtained a series of emails detailing the length that Peabody went to convince the federal government to approve the project. Not that the Trump administration needed much urging to support the coal-based project. Trump has shown consistent support for coal as a candidate and as president, and he claims that he can help bring coal back to America. That is...
That work for the sound effect?
That was good. I mean, we'll work on that. We'll work on it. It's all right.
We'll put it in. Good night.
And good night. So this despite the country moving away from coal as an energy resource, evident by the Navajo Nation deciding to switch to cheaper natural gas to the power plant. The Trump administration says that it will respect the decisions of the tribe by forcing them to keep using coal, and I can guarantee you that guy that just walked through is getting a bunch of coal in his stocking this year from me.
No, you're nice. We know the answer to that. All right, after taking part in ruining the middle class by voting for the tax reform bill, as mentioned earlier, Arizona Senator Jeff Flake plans to hold a series of floor speeches on the importance of holding shared facts among the American public, because apparently we need to hear that. Flake has become one of the president's fiercest critics in the past year, and the president hasn't been very kind in return. Trump called Flake, quote, toxic early this year when he visited Phoenix, and has posted several tweets criticizing Flake. But Flake says that the speeches aren't explicitly anti-Trump, but rather focus on the need for shared facts. However, this comes at a time when we have a president who appears to, at times, create his own facts, such as alleging that President Obama was born outside the U.S. Trump has also doubted the veracity of that infamous Access Hollywood tape where he was caught making vulgar comments about women. Yeah, the grab the pussy video.
Watch your mouth.
Okay. Flake says that he wants to hold the speeches because he feels that having separate sets of facts is, quote, damaging to a democracy if you think things are fake news that aren't. What could he be referring to? Well, Trump has also repeatedly accused CNN, The Washington Post, The New York Times, and pretty much anyone who has criticized him of being fake news. He tweeted this week that there should be a contest to see who would win the, quote, fake news contest. Trump later announced that his administration has begun to set up the contest, which will cost $87 billion. It's going to be a star-studded event.
That seems like a good budget for this sort of competition. I believe it. So let's talk about U.S. corporations. U.S. corporations, Cisco, Pfizer, Coca-Cola, and others stated this week that if the Republican tax reform bill passes, they would give the benefits back to shareholders rather than invest it toward raising workers' wages. The White House has argued that their plan would provide tax cuts to corporations, which would then trickle down to workers. Now, I'm going to just say something real quick about trickle down. So there's a thing that gets promised forever, correct? The trickle-down theory, this idea we got to give these guys a lot of money at the top, and then we'll all get at the bottom. They'll share it, they'll give it. It's almost like saying, hey, you see that big delicious glass of, let's say, beer that you got in front of you? You get to keep the condensation that forms on the outside of this bottle. That's trickle-down. So yeah, that's the idea, is that the trickle-down would come to us eventually. The White House has argued that their plan would provide tax cuts to corporations, which would then trickle down to workers. However, the CEOs of many major corporations told Bloomberg that if they use the tax cuts to get more aggressive on buying back shares of their own companies, that's most likely what's going to happen. At an event sponsored by the Wall Street Journal, an editor asked the crowd of corporate CEOs to raise their hand if they plan to increase capital investment if the tax plan went through. A handful of CEOs raised their hand, but far from the entire crowd. Gary Cohn, Trump's economic advisor, appeared surprised that so few hands went in the air and asked, why aren't the other hands up? The confused CEOs responded, because we're robbing you, not the other way around. That's how that works.
Good line. All right, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn pleaded guilty this morning to lying to the FBI about his contacts with the Russian ambassador during the presidential transition in 2016. Flynn is now cooperating with the special counsel's investigation into Russian interference during the 2016 election. ABC News reported earlier today that Flynn is planning to admit that the Trump administration officials instructed him to contact Russian representatives, but so far nothing is official. The word is that the Trump official that they're referring to is Jared Kushner, which is Trump's son-in-law. So we'll see. Flynn is a retired lieutenant general who was one of Trump's top advisors during the 2016 presidential campaign. He later became Trump's security advisor, where he served for only 24 days before being fired when it was discovered that he lied to Vice President Mike Pence about the Russian connections. At the time, the FBI intercepted a conversation between Flynn and Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, where the two talked about easing sanctions against Russia. The FBI also discovered conversations between Flynn and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, where they discussed Russia's response to Israeli settlements, which was to be voted on in the UN. According to the New York Times, Netanyahu asked the Trump campaign to convince Russia to hold off on a UN vote until the election was over. After the guilty plea, White House lawyer Ty Cobb spit out a mouthful of chaw and tried to distance Trump from his former advisor. Cobb emphasized that Flynn only held the position for 25 days and added that Flynn was a former, quote, former Obama administration official. They don't call him Smooth Cobb for nothing. In his plea deal, Flynn said that, quote, I have always performed my duties with the utmost integrity and honesty to those I've served. He added, well, except for the thing I'm pleading guilty for right now, but before that, yeah, integrity and honesty all the time. That's me.
Smooth Cobb?
Smooth Cobb.
Is that a real name? Cobb is
call
not
him.
smooth at all.
That's what I call him,
No,
okay?
okay. Dubbed Smooth Cobb by you?
Yeah.
I like it a
Smooth
lot.
Cobb.
I like it a lot. All right, a report, getting popular. A report from the U.S.-led coalition forces say that airstrikes have killed 800 Iraqi and Syrian civilians since 2014. So now serious time deaths. This is a much lower number than claimed by monitoring groups such as the group Air Wars, who says that as many as 6,000 could have been killed over that period. A New York Times investigation that included over a year of visits to 150 sites concluded that strikes killed up to 31 times more civilians than reported. They called the current military campaigns in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan the least transparent war in U.S. history. Rights groups said that the coalition should be more open about how it makes its targeting decisions. They pointed out that on occasions, large groups of civilians were threatened in order to target a single militant, such as a sniper on the rooftops of residential buildings. The Pentagon defended their decisions, stating that their decades-old policy of FUBP, that's fire upon brown people, it's flawless. George Carlin's been telling us about that one for years.
Yeah, it's still going.
Yeah.
All right, the coalition report comes at the same day as a separate Pentagon report showing that U.S. troops have increased their numbers in war zones worldwide. The report states that U.S. troop numbers have edged up mainly in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, where the bulk of the battle against ISIS has taken place. U.S. forces total a bit over 18,000 at the end of Obama's tenure. That number now stands at about 26,000 today. The report was put together by the Defense Manpower Axe Body Spray and Data Center and contradicted previous numbers given by the Pentagon. For example, the Pentagon claimed that around 500 armed forces members were in Syria, but the report says that there are actually 1,720 in the country. In Iraq, the number was also different, with the Pentagon claiming that around 5,000 troops were in the country. The study claims that there are nearly 9,000 troops in Iraq, almost double what they claimed. Defense Secretary James Mattis has pledged to provide greater transparency when it comes to troop numbers. He's clearly failed, but in his defense, pledges are now taken about as seriously as climate change within this administration. So what are you going to do?
This isn't Good Morning America. Okay, hang on there. Hold on. Come back around. Here it is. There we go. Door sound effect.
Okay. Ooh.
The Secret Service has spent nearly $150,000 this year on golf carts, according to the U.S. Today report. Amazing. The paper showed that the Secret Service spent $7,500 alone over Thanksgiving weekend, which the president spent golfing at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Trump tweeted last week that he would be spending his holiday weekend golfing with Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. Amazing. Records show that Trump visited the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach 4 times last, and the Trump National Golf Club in Jupiter, Florida once.
That's all last week, by the way.
All last week. He made it all the way to Jupiter. The Secret Service signed a contract with Florida cart rental company Golf Car and Utility Distributors back in September for almost $70,000. This was the largest order the agency has made since February, shortly after Trump took office. The president's frequent vacations have stretched the agencies thin this year, largely because he feels the need to make his trips a family affair. In August, USA Today reported that the Secret Service could no longer pay the overtime for hundreds of agents needed to carry out an expanded protective mission because of the size of Trump's family. Secret Service Director Tex Allies, I guess, or something like that. That's all Tex Ales. Said that more than 1,000 agents have already hit the federally mandated caps for salary and overtime allowances that were supposed to last the entire year. The Trump administration is planning on setting up a GoFundMe campaign to fund the Secret Service's overtime, and is urging Americans to donate their lightly worn and used golf carts that we've all got laying around to help our country move forward from this figurative sand trap we've been stuck in for some time. America really has to work on its putts, if we are ever going to get out of this one, just that one putts.
All right, golf carts.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh? And I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the program you're watching right now.
Can we both take a moment to talk about it?
Let's both take a moment.
Let's do it!
All right, here at 5 on 20, we're undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism.
We're going to give you the news as we see it. Go wide, go wide. We're going to give you the news as we see it. And we want more people to speak up with us.
We need writers,
Hosts,
anchors,
camera people,
and sound people.
the whole gamut.
The times require a new way of informing ourselves.
Join us.
Do it!
Do it now.
Email us at info@creativetucson.org to get involved.
And if you think there's a story that we're missing, a person we should interview, or an upcoming event we should cover, or you have any news tips for us,
Shoot us an email to info@creativetucson.org.
We're here for you.
And we want to cover all the stories from all points of view. So don't be strangers.
That's right. We didn't even rehearse that. That's right. Come on back, guys. You can come back. All right. So this was 5 on 20 News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all the social media accounts for all the latest creative Tucson news and content. Feel free to bother us at info@creativetucson.org. What's coming up after this?
Oh, I'm back to This Week in Mediocrity. I'm actually going to go away, but I've been gone for over a month.
Yeah, well, the studio.
We've been building up the studio.
Look at this gorgeously decorated new studio we've got. It's very exciting.
Sure, yeah. You'll see the real studio, whatever.
It's coming up.
It's coming. One of these days. So anyway, I'm going to go back to about a month and a half ago. Right before we started, there was an interesting thing that happened right here in Tucson. So today's the first Mediocrity local story about a guy named J.T. Harris, who's a local radio host, kind of a Rush Limbaugh wannabe type. Yeah. And he kind of got into it with an anchor here at 5 on 20. So it's
El Nuzador? Was it him?
It wasn't El Nuzador.
All right.
But maybe we can try to get a beef going between El Nuzador and J.T. Harris. We'll see.
Laying the smack down on the local level. Speaking of El Nuzador, we're going to be doing something special with that this weekend. If you want to come check out some fun events that are going on this weekend, a little thing called High Impact Wrestling. A little place called that Tanque Verde Swap Meet. Our news anchor extraordinaire, El Nuzador, is going to be there getting some scoops and doing some coverage, and we're going to put together a package for you that's going to talk about a lot of the stuff happening here on the local level when it comes to professional wrestling. I'm excited about that. I think I'm going to see you there for sure, too. Yep, so that'll be super fun. It's a little bit, do this with me. You don't know what it means, but we'll see this thing. Do that. Ooh, it's too sweet. That's what that is. Okay. Yes. He has no idea.
I'm learning things.
So stay tuned. It's This Week in Mediocrity with Joe Foster. I've been Frank Powers. Thanks for watching 5 on 20 News. Stay creative, Tucson.